Okay, hello everyone. My name is Yandy Reynoso. I am the Education USA advisor in Mexico City. And thank you everyone for being here today to learn more about the process of how to get admission to an LLM program in the US. So here with us today, we have Gabrielle Goodwin. She's the Director of Graduate Legal Studies at Indiana University, Bloomington. If you have any questions at the end, please, make sure to type them in the chat box. And then at the end, we will make sure to answer your questions if there are any. And I will also ask you to please mute your microphones while we're having this presentation. Thank you, and Gabrielle, now it's your time. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you for joining me tonight, inviting me to participate in this webinar. I am going to be talking about LLM programs in the United States generally, what you can expect, how you can apply, and the admissions process. And then I'll speak a little bit specifically about my law school and our LLM program, because I think it's a good example of what you can expect most LLM programs to be like. So starting off, I am, as Yandy said, I'm the Director of Graduate Legal Studies at Indiana University Maurer School of Law in Bloomington, Indiana. So this is me, and my email in case you wanted to follow up with any questions later. I'm going to start by playing a video that is from a recent LLM graduate about her impressions of what it's like to study law in the United States, how it's different from studying law in other countries, especially other countries with different legal systems. So as you probably know, in the United States, we are a common law jurisdiction, while many other countries are civil law. So let's see if we can play this.
While I was studying in Spain, I realized that the globalization is quite important, it's coming faster. I wanted to have some international experience. When I came here to Bloomington, I thought, okay, this is the heart of America. But then the university is completely different. The campus is so beautiful. It's a very open-minded experience. You meet people from around the world, different cultures. You study a totally different law.
Students that are coming from a background in a civil law tradition, having done an LLB at home, will find that the legal education system and the environment here is quite different. Professors expect students to engage, and it's quite interactive.
You go to class to solve problems. So the professor asks questions, the students answer them. So it's very different. You have to be prepared for classes. It's not theoretical, not as theoretical as in Spain. It's more problem solving.
It's definitely a challenge, and it is a good challenge. I'm continuously commented to by students who are saying, I'm supported by other students, I'm supported by the faculty, and I feel like I really have control of my learning.
The only way to have this experience is to come here to the US. So definitely I will recommend it.
Okay, so I hope that worked and you were able to see that video. A couple of things that were mentioned in the video that I think are important to understand about how studying law in the US is maybe different from what you might expect other places. So as the student explained, class attendance is required. Reading and preparation are done before class, so you have to be prepared, and you will likely be called on in class. This is part of the learning process, what we call the Socratic method. And it's really a dialogue between the professor and the student in order to get to the right answer. And so it's a very interactive kind of classroom. Most law school classrooms are like this. You will learn a lot of important legal skills and things that you learn and practice in class that you also have an opportunity to learn and practice in an experiential kind of situation, like a legal clinic or a pro bono opportunity. But those legal skills include how to do legal analysis, how to argue for your client, how to read, understand, and brief a case, how to listen to and learn from your peers, not just from the professor lecturing at the front of the classroom, how to problem solve. This is probably one of the most important ways, methodologies that used in the class, so that you're given a problem, a legal issue, and try to recognize it, try to solve it based on your application of the law. How to take notes is also important because you'll be learning throughout the semester, reading, going to lectures, and then have one final exam at the end of the semester. One thing that I think was really important that our student mentioned was that support is everywhere. We typically in law schools, students are supported by the faculty, by the administration, and by their colleagues in class. It's a very welcoming environment. So if you decide that you are interested in applying to a law school in the United States for an LLM or other degree, you've got to go through an intensive application process. And so how do you set yourself apart? How do you make your application different from others? And how do you show the admissions committee who you are? So application documents that are typically required from the admissions office include an application through LSAC, LSAC. That is the Law School Admission Council. This is an organization that helps law students apply to different law schools. And it's a very convenient and useful organization. However, it is not free, and it is not a cheap way to do it, but it is definitely the most convenient if you are applying to multiple law schools. And if you want to send your application materials to multiple law schools, that way you send your application materials to LSAC. They take care of sending those to all of the different law schools. So as I said, very convenient. However, you have to keep in mind they will charge for their services, and every law school will have an application fee that will be charged to you, unless you can ask for, and you should ask for, an application fee waiver. Many law schools will give you that, and that's a great way to save a little bit of money. There are other ways of applying to law schools. So for example, at Indiana University, we allow students to apply directly. So you don't have to go through LSAC. You can apply straight to the university, and there's a separate application form for that. You'll need to include your transcripts, grades, degrees that have been awarded to you from every school of higher education that you have attended. You'll need to submit an English test score, whether that's TOEFL or IELTS or something else. And each school is different as to what the score that is required might be. We ask for a 96 on the TOEFL. Other schools might have a lower or a higher score requirement. Typically, we require 3 letters of recommendation, and these can be academic letters or professional letters. depending on what your background is and what's most relevant to the application. So you might have just a graduated from your undergraduate degree and not have a lot of professional legal experience, and therefore getting letters of recommendation from your former professors would be possible, whereas someone that's been out working for a while might instead have professional letters of recommendation rather than academic. Of course, you'll also have to include a resume with your application documents and a personal statement. And it's the last two of these document requirements that I'm going to talk about in more detail, what the resume looks like and what the personal statement looks like. So generally, some practical tips about the application. You really need to think about highlighting your strengths as much as possible. Don't be shy about that. You also need to be professional. Think about the law school in the United States is a professional school, and we expect students, even new students coming in, even applicants, to be professional in all of their correspondence and all of their dealings with the admissions committee. Proofread carefully. This is especially important if English is not your first or native language. You want to make sure that your language is correct and get it to the level that you can, that it's good as possible. Don't assume that every school wants the same thing. Make sure that you read and do your research about what the requirements are for each individual law school. Generally speaking, they'll ask for the same things, but you want to be careful that you are not ignoring what their requirements are. Be original, so don't use templates. It's easy to Google what is a good resume, what is a good personal statement, but you want to make sure that your resume, your personal statement especially, speaks to who you are and is original to you, so that the admissions people can know and get to know you. So speaking specifically about the resume, you can see here, this is a typical looking resume in the United States. Legal resumes tend to be just one page, which is kind of unusual, but you have to select only the most relevant information to put on this page. So the content may depend on what purpose you're using your resume for, whether it is for a job, whether it's a law school application, or you're applying for a scholarship. You need to, again, check the law school's requirements. If they ask for specific information, make sure you're including that. Typical content includes your name and contact information at the top, your education, your work and volunteer experience, any involvement in student clubs or organizations that's relevant, any professional training, affiliations, certifications, anything like that that might be relevant. And definitely the suggestion is to follow the US legal resume style when you're applying to a US school. That just makes sense because that's what people are expecting to receive, and it will be much clearer in understanding the kinds of information you're presenting if you do that in the style that's expected. So a little bit more detail there, your name and contact information at the top in larger font so it's clearer. Make sure that you provide your school address, your home and permanent address, an email address, these things that you will definitely be checking and where things will not get lost and where you can expect to be able to receive the any kind of document or information, any kind of communication that you'll get as soon as possible. In the United States, we do most everything these days by email. So you want to make sure that your email address is something that you check often. Also, I would recommend that for your email address, make sure that it is a professional sounding email address, whether that's just your name, most likely just your name, rather than something kind of silly or cute that maybe you've used in the past. Again, you're applying to professional schools, so you want to make sure that your email address reflects that. You've got education next, and this should be organized in reverse chronological order. So the most recent educational experience first, whether that is your LL.B. or maybe you've done a master's degree, whatever is most recent in your history. Give the name, location of the university, what degree it is, what your expected graduation date is if you haven't graduated yet. You might consider adding a GPA, what your grade point average is, or your class rank, especially if they are really good. That's something that you want to be proud of, and that's relevant information. You can list your activities, your honors, even your relevant coursework if your degree maybe doesn't reflect the fact that you studied a specific area of law and you want to highlight that. Work experience, activities, voluntary experience, all of these things come next. And again, those are in reverse chronological order so we can see what you've most recently been involved with. Name and location of your employer, the dates, your role or position, and then a short list of the relevant accomplishments that came from that experience. And that can be just bullet points or words, phrases, rather than full sentences. Other headings might be appropriate on your resume. It really depends on you and your background. All right, so the personal statement, this is one of the tough ones because it is really important, but there's no one right way to write a personal statement. The most important direction, though, is find out what the specific requirements and format are and follow those for each law school that you apply to. Some law schools will ask very specifically that you answer a question or talk about a particular topic. Generally, however, a detailed personal statement will describe your background, your goals, and the reasons that you're applying for a specific program, a specific degree, a specific law school. As I said, though, every law school could have a different requirement, and it's really important that you address that and that you are answering the question that may be asked. In the personal statement, you are trying to show the admissions committee two really important things: who you are and how you write. And this is a really great opportunity for them to get to know you. So for who you are, you're already submitting a resume. You're already submitting your transcripts. So you don't want to just repeat that same information. You also don't want to write a complete autobiography from when you were born until everything that you've been doing right until today. That would be probably take more time than anyone is asking for. Highlight your accomplishments. So decide what is relevant for this particular personal statement, this particular law school, and then what accomplishments that you think would really stand out. Don't be shy about this. This is one thing that I've noticed when working with international students as opposed to American students. American students are usually not very shy about being able to promote themselves and offer their accomplishments. whereas many international students feel a little unsure about how to do this. And you want to make sure that you are not bragging too much about all of the wonderful things you've done and the wonderful person that you are, but giving the accomplishments, giving the experience, the background information that really highlights who you are and what your potential is what you want to do in the personal statement. You can also use the statement to explain any problems with your application. So if you took 2 years away from your education for a personal reason, you might want to explain that maybe you were unable to continue with your education because of whatever reason, but that you came back and you accomplished, you finished, and that situation did not defeat you, or that it was temporary, and that's something that you want to explain and use as a learning kind of situation. Demonstrate why you would be a good fit for the program, this particular program, and then how you would contribute to the law school community. There are a lot of really wonderfully qualified applicants out there in the world, and we want to make sure that we are a good match for you, and that you are a good match for the law school, that you're not going to be unhappy when you get here, and that you are going to accomplish all of your goals and fulfill all the needs that you have while you're here. So I think it's a really wonderful opportunity to demonstrate that and let them know that you know about the law school community and how you would fit in. One possible thing that you can add to your personal statement to kind of explain who you are today, how you got to be who you are today, is to explain any special life lessons that you've learned, illustrate how you've overcome a difficult situation or some kind of life challenge. This is something that, again, is an opportunity for the admissions committee to really understand who you are, what you've gone through, and what made you the person that you are today, and where that might lead you in the future. So the part of the personal statement then that is important to illustrate how you write is what is the opportunity for the admissions committee, again, to know who you are, but also what you can do in law school, because law school is not easy, and a lot of it is about writing. Writing exams, writing memos, writing when you're working with clients. So you want to show that this is something that you can do. You want to be honest in your writing, but try and be positive. So all of us have things in our past that we've done that may have been difficult, but it's a good chance to show how that difficulty presented in a positive way. Be focused and specific when you write. So don't write so generally that you don't really understand who you are or what you're all about, but instead really focus on one or two issues, one or two topics. Be specific, give really good detail. These are, again, positive aspects of good writing. Be well organized and use a logical structure. One thing that you will definitely learn in your legal writing class in an LL.M program in the United States is how to be well organized and how to use a logical structure. So if you can demonstrate that in some sense, that's wonderful. Be professional and use a formal writing style. Again, this is a professional school. We expect incoming students to understand that and be as professional as possible. Formal writing style does not mean you have to use fancy words or talk about completely high-level intellectual topics, but formal just meaning that you understand the way to communicate and write in an objective and professional way. Try and be free of grammatical and typographical errors, typos, as we say. So read through your writing over and over. Have someone else read through your writing so that they can help you to correct those things. It's really important that you work hard at this, but it's also really important that the writing is your own writing. So again, you could Google how to write a good personal statement for a law school application, and I'm sure you would find some examples. But since this is part of your application, the attempt to explain who you are for the admissions people to understand who you are, it really makes sense that it is your own writing and your own work, so there's no surprise when you arrive at the program. Okay, so I wanted to talk now specifically about the program at Indiana University Maurer School of Law. And I have included just a couple pictures here from the campus, just to show you what a beautiful place it is. Not many people, or maybe not every person, knows where Indiana is, but it is in the Midwest part of the country. It is a lovely spot in Bloomington, Indiana, that is kind of a small university town. There's a lot to do there because it is a college campus. So the college campus is pretty big. This is the auditorium, there's the cinema, there's the art museum. This is looking downtown from the university, so you can see that it's a pretty small town, but still has a lot available for students. The program at Maurer School of Law was received some of the high-level rankings from the international jurists, so best in law school experience and value and academics. The law school offers the traditional LL.M. degree, but there are other options as well. So there's an LL.M. with thesis that requires an extra semester and the opportunity to work with a professor on a very specific topic and write a thesis. There's a one-semester certificate, a master's of comparative law, a doctor of juridical science, which is the three-year doctoral program that results in a dissertation. We are unusual in that we also have a PhD in law and democracy here at the law school, and we have advanced standing JD, which is an opportunity to come into the three-year JD program, bringing in credits from previous work so that the three-year program may be reduced to just 2 years. We have LL.M. specializations available. So if there is a particular area of law that you like to specialize in, that is possible. And these are some of the strong specializations that we have available to our LL.M. students. A few other, just quickly, program highlights. We have students from all over the world. At this semester, at this point, we do not have any students from Mexico, but typically we do. And we would certainly love to have some additional Mexican law students. We have a summer intensive legal English course that many of our students come and start in the summer before their LL.M. program. We have legal clinics, pro bono opportunities, access to justice projects, so a lot of opportunities for students to get involved in actually advising clients, working with clients in different capacities, and getting to help people in the community. the LLM to JD transfer option. So if you start in the LLM program and decide you want to continue on to a JD, that's a possibility. We have a professional development series to help students with their professional job searches and how to be a professional in the legal field. One big highlight, I think, is Bloomington itself. It's a safe, comfortable college town with access to nature, entertainment, good restaurants, and a lot more. There are lots of student organizations that international law students can be part of, lots of opportunities to get involved if you want. Some numbers that you might be interested in, the number of international students at the law school versus American students, the student-faculty ratio, which is quite low, the cost of an LLM program. So this might be of great interest to you. At this year, $46,744 for tuition. That you have to combine with the annual cost of living. And because Bloomington, Indiana is not a big city, it's not in New York, it's not in California, the cost of living here is much lower than it could be in other big cities. So combining our low cost of tuition, relatively low cost of tuition, with our low cost of living makes it one of the more affordable programs in the United States. You may or may not know that Indiana University has a gateway office in Mexico City, which I think is a wonderful thing, and I would encourage anyone that's interested to visit. You also, as a student and a future alum of Indiana University, have access to a ton of different alumni across the world. So it's a fantastic kind of opportunity for networking and building your future, whatever goal you might have. Because we recognize that the cost of tuition in the United States is really quite expensive compared to many places, we do offer scholarships, and about 80% of our applicants receive some kind of scholarship, from anywhere from 5% up to 50% of the cost of tuition. So up to about $20,000 of tuition is the upper limit that we offer to students. And we've just recently been discussing with COMEXUS, the Fulbright Commission, an agreement that would offer a $25,000 scholarship for Fulbright grantees. So those that receive a Fulbright grant would also receive a matching or potentially matching scholarship, so that the cost of attendance is really, really quite low. Admissions, we have 2 start options in the fall and in the spring, August or January. And those applications open for the fall, November 1st to April 30th. So they've just recently opened for next fall. Spring applications are open July to October. And I've included some contact information there, how you can apply, and the contact email of our Director of Graduate Admissions, who is really wonderful and can help with any questions or guide you through the admissions process. And then just to end here, some social media connections if you want to find out any more information. We're very happy for you to do a little bit of investigating, and also happy to answer any questions that you might have now or later. So that is the presentation I have for you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Gabrielle, for this presentation. If you guys have any questions, please make sure to type them on the chat box, and we will answer them. If not, Gabrielle, she also shared with you her email, if you want to ask her something directly, or if you want to contact the admissions office. So we will, okay, so, okay, Marco just, he says that it was a very clarifying presentation. Thank you very much. Thank you, Marco. Gabrielle, will you share your email one more time, please?
Yes. And I see that you said that you could only hear the video, not see the video.
Yeah, we were only able to hear.
Well, I'm sorry about that, but please do. There's a link there for the video, and please take a look. There are a number of videos that you could also look at and get a sense of what law school is like in the United States. I think they're very helpful.
Yeah, make sure to visit their YouTube channel where they have a lot of resources. Okay, Fred Gomez, she's asking, can an LLM students work as research assistants during the second semester of the program?
So LLM students can work as research assistants, yes. It really depends on the needs of the professors. So if a professor has a particular research project they're working on, they will send out a call and ask for students to submit applications or come talk to them about it. And if your interests and background match, then absolutely you may be hired to work as a research assistant. Those kinds of things are, you know, happen every semester, of course, every now and then. There are not a ton of them, but in fact, we have a weekly newsletter that comes out, and I just noticed that another couple of professors had asked for research assistants. So again, it's not something that you can absolutely guarantee, but it is possible.
Great, thank you. I don't think we have any more questions for now. Okay, one more question. It's what is the average age of LLM students? Jack is asking.
So that's a good question, and it's really varied. We have students come in directly after their LLB, so they might be 21 or 20 or so. But we also have plenty of students that come with their families that have been lawyers for many years, are judges, are working in companies, and are coming back to school for the year to get an LLM to kind of further their next step in their profession. So it really depends. Could be anywhere from 20 up to 60 years old. And so probably average age is, I'm going to say maybe 30. So I can see Jack's question, what's the advantage of doing an LLM in the States instead of the UK or Australia? I think that's a really good question. And I would say the answer to that is a couple of things. One is if you are a Mexican lawyer or coming from Mexico, obviously the connection to the US is very strong. And the possibility of doing work in the US or work with the US is very strong. So that's one thing. I think also the legal education, and not to say that the legal education in the UK or Australia is not good, but the legal education in the US I think is quite good and gives you so many opportunities and networking opportunities as well, that I was recently actually in Mexico City and Guadalajara talking to some law students and practitioners there, and had the impression that there's really no comparison, that doing your study in the US and having that degree gives you advantages over even studying in the UK or Australia. Now, they do have an advantage in that it tends to be cheaper in some respects to go to the UK or Australia, although if you factor in some of the cost of living, that's not always true. But I definitely feel that the United States legal education system really is a leader in the world, and having that credential gives you opportunities in just about every kind of field.
Thank you. There's one more question from Marco.
So Marco's question is about the LSAT. It applies only for JDs. That's a good question. So yes, there is the LSAT, which is the law school admissions test. That test is only required for JD students when they are applying to law school. And LLM students do not have to worry about that. Even if you are transferring from an LLM program to a JD program, depending on the law school, you also do not have to worry about the LSAT, which is a huge advantage because it is not a fun exam to take. And so being able to bypass the LSAT is great. Now, that may or may not be true for every law school, but it's definitely true here that we do not, for advanced standing, for transfer from LLM to JD, we don't require the LSAT. So I see, and one more quick question here. Do I need to apply to the general LLM program and then once admitted, select a specialization? So the way that my law school works is you apply, yes, generally to the LLM program. Your degree will be a general LLM, but then you will receive a separate certification with your specialization. So if you decide, you can decide now if you wanted to specialize, and that would be great. But if you decided, okay, I would like to specialize in cybersecurity or international law or something, you could do that when you arrive. And then I'm the academic advisor for all of the students. We would discuss that. We would talk about the course requirements, therefore, to get that specialization, and you would be able to take those classes. And again, that's this law school. Other law schools have a different process, and so you might apply to an LLM that is specifically, say, an international law LLM. Then you would apply to that particular specialization, that LLM program. Many law schools do have this other kind of program, which is the general LLM program with specializations within it.
Okay, thank you so much for all your questions, guys, and Gabrielle for this great presentation. As I said before, if you guys have any other questions, make sure to visit their website, and also you can reach out to the admissions office and to Gabrielle, who she has shared her email one more time for you.
Yes, so I just, let me make that to everyone. I just put the email also of the admission director, and I'm going to write his name as well. Either one of us, we are happy to answer any questions that you have.
Great, thank you so much. We are recording this session, guys. I will make sure to share this recording with you in case you want to watch it again. So it will be for your reference. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating in this webinar, and thank you so much, Gabrielle, for your time.
Thank you for having me. It was my pleasure, and I really appreciate being part of it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thanks, you too. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.